going on, guys? My name is Taylor Stuber, and I'm here to break down this 5-game NBA slate on Draftkings and PrizePicks.com. If you guys are new here, welcome. If you guys are a returning viewer, welcome back. This slate does start 30 minutes later than usual, so of course, guys, I will be live streaming at 5:30 p.m. Central Time right here on this channel. So if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you guys are notified when I do go live. Let's run up the likes, and if you guys have any comments at all, or any questions at all, rather, make sure to comment down below, and I'll make sure to get to as many as I possibly can throughout the day. If you guys want to join my Discord, that is linked completely free down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. And if you guys want to know exactly what I'm playing on FanDuel, DraftKings, and PrizePicks.com every single day, you guys can join my Patreon. That is also linked down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. $25 for the rest of the month of November. I think it's a pretty damn good deal, but let's just jump right into the slate. So we will start off with the Utah Jazz versus the Miami Heat at 221.5 over under. The Heat are currently 2.5 point favorites. The Utah Jazz are going to be without Rudy Gay, and then Royce O'Neal and Donovan Mitchell are both questionable. So this is the first game of the slate, so we are going to receive news from the injury statuses that we're waiting on in this game. So there's really not much to say. Donovan Mitchell, he was out last game. Joe Ingles started in his place. And then Jordan Clarkson had a 34% usage rating coming off the bench, playing 31 minutes, leading that team to a blowout victory. Just with him scoring like 26-28 real points in the second half. So if Donovan Mitchell is ruled out, Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley, Bojan Bogdanovic all receive massive upgrades, but really focusing in on the cheaper guys of Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson there. If he is ruled active, I'm not really considering anybody on this team. I wouldn't mind Bojan Bogdanovic as more of a secondary play, but the matchup is pretty tough. So yeah, if Mitchell's healthy, I'm not really considering anybody on that team. On the Miami Heat side, Victor Oladipo, Max Strus are both out. Kyle Lowry and KZ Okpala are both questionable. Kyle Lowry was injured last game, ended up sitting out the rest of the game, and so if he is ruled out, Tyler Hero gets a pretty considerable bump, especially in minutes and assist percentage. So when he is out there on the court, we know that he's going to be a good per minute producer. It is a tough matchup against the Utah Jazz, but yeah, I'm expecting Kyle Lowry to sit here, but again, this is the first game of the slate, so definitely going to get this news ahead of time, and so I will go over that in the live stream. But regardless, I think Jimmy Butler is a very good play on PrizePicks specifically at $9,500, a bit too rich for my blood. But over here on PrizePicks, his fantasy score is only at 40. He's only missed this twice so far this year. One of them was game 1 where the game blew out. And then the second time he missed it was last game, which was quite the outlier. The Heat only put up 78 real points throughout in regulation. So I think Jimmy Butler gets here pretty easily. You know, he's the leading MVP candidate so far this year, having a really solid year as of now. I like Jimmy Butler over 40 fantasy points. If you stick around throughout the video, I'm going to keep dropping more plays over on PrizePicks, but really need the news from that first game to really break that down. We'll have that later on in the day in the live stream, as well as in the Patreon. Move over to the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Chicago Bulls, a 215.5 over under. The Bulls are currently 4-point favorites. The Sixers are going to be without Tobias Harris, Grant Riller, Ben Simmons, Isaiah Joe, and Matisse Thybulle. Danny Green and frickin' Korkmaz are both questionable. I'm expecting at least one of those guys of Danny Green and Furka's Korkmaz to end up sitting today. So this team is going to be very, very short-handed today. They played an 8-man rotation last game with 6 players exceeding 30 minutes, while Tyrese Maxey played 45 minutes. 45 minutes from Tyrese Maxey. A lot of that has to do with how short-handed they are and the willingness they have to play Shake Milton next to Tyrese Maxey. Makes both of them amazing plays. And then Tyrese Maxey, you know, even if both of Korkmaz and Danny Green end up playing, they're missing Matisse Thybulle, who was in last time. So they are still going to run like a 9-man rotation. I'm expecting Tyrese Maxey to play around 40 minutes in this game, and his projection is only at 24 fantasy points. I love the over on Tyrese Maxey here at 24 fantasy points. And then as soon as we get news, if both these guys are ruled out, I'm going to rush over here to Prize Picks. I'm going to add Shake Milton to this as well. Seth Curry you can add as well, and then Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid I'm just staying away from until he shows any signs of life. He had a pretty good game against, I believe it was Minnesota, or no, it was this Detroit team. But outside of that, he just has not been active at all. His total rebound percentage is down significantly. Obviously, that injury is bothering him somewhat, and he's on a normal basis. Last year, if we knew that Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons were out, we would just lock in Joel Embiid. But as of right now, I'm probably staying away. But man, if Korkmaz and or Danny Green are ruled out, you might want to load up on 3 or 4 of the Philadelphia 76ers. On the Chicago Bulls side, Patrick Williams and Kobe White are both out. Everyone seems to be priced pretty fairly, all outside of Alex Caruso, who is more of a secondary value option for me. Should close against this small lineup with many players he can guard. Played 32 minutes in this very matchup. He has a ton of guys on the Philly side that he can be used to guard, like Tyrese Maxey, Danny Green, Korkmaz if they play, as well as Shake Milton. So Alex Caruso should be in the closing lineup, should exceed 30 minutes, and is only $3,900. Move over to the Boston Celtics versus the Dallas Mavericks. At 210 over under. The Mavericks are currently 3.5 point favorites. Jaylen Brown is currently out. Jason Richardson is questionable. With Jaylen Brown out, I'm expecting Dennis Schroeder to enter the starting lineup. He should grab the spot start here. He's only $5,400. One of the best point per dollar plays on the entire slate. Gets a great matchup against the Dallas Mavericks. And then Jason Tatum without Jaylen Brown since the beginning of last year. 34.3% usage rating, 11.5 total rebound percentage, 21.4 assist percentage, while averaging 1.35 fantasy points per minute. Has been shooting very, very poorly to start the year, but the volume has been there, and it's going to be there even more so today with no Jaylen Brown. Again, this is a very good matchup against the Mavericks. They should have Dorian Finney-Smith on him the entire time, I would assume. And so if you're not on Jason Tatum, I think that's a good thing for the likes of Dennis Schroeder. Again, I think Dennis Schroeder is the biggest beneficiary with no Jaylen Brown on the team. Not really considering anybody else out here, especially with Al Horford getting a price raise to $7,600. Move over to the Dallas Mavericks. Maxi Kleber is out. Kristaps Porzingis is questionable, but it looks like they are pretty hopeful that he is going to return today. If that is the case, I'm not really considering anybody on this team, but if he is ruled out again, Jalen Brunson has started in his place in each of the last 2 games, has had a 27.8% usage rating while averaging 1.33 fantasy points per minute. He would be a lock for me if Kristaps Porzingis is ruled out, but I am expecting him to play today. Reggie Bullock also expected to play. Also, if Kristaps is out in this game, Dwight Powell, the Mavericks will need his size against the Boston Celtics, who run 2 centers with Robert Williams and Al Horford. So I think he would go back to playing around 30 minutes, and he is only $3,600, but entirely dependent on the status of Kristaps Porzingis. Move over to the Atlanta Hawks versus the Phoenix Suns at 221.5 over under. The Suns are currently 5-point favorites. The Hawks are going to be without Onyeka Okongwu. But again, guys, Clint Capella is in another matchup where they are going to need his size. He played 36 minutes last game, so he could play 34 to 36 minutes a game moving forward as long as he's not dealing with foul trouble and the games are competitive. They're going to need his size against DeAndre Ayton. He has averaged 1.2 fantasy points per minute since the beginning of last year. So yeah, I love Clint Capella yet again today. If you guys want to take his over on Prize Picks, it is hit pretty much every time. The over 32 fantasy points seems very, very safe for me. He should play more than 32 minutes, and he has averaged well over a fantasy point per minute since the beginning of last year. So I do like Clint Capella, really the only Atlanta Hawk guy that I am considering. And then on the Phoenix Suns side, Cameron Payne, Dario Saric are both out. DeAndre Ayton was dealing with foul trouble last game, but it looked like he was a full go and should have played his full allotment of minutes. Played 30, 32, 34 minutes, and he is only $6,500. I think him and Clint Capella both get their full allotment of minutes. I don't think these teams end up going small. So I like both these guys. So you could run double center and play both of them. I think they're both amazing plays on this slate. And then Chris Paul continues to lead the league with potential assists per game. I just keep playing him every single slate, especially over on FanDuel. I like Chris Paul, one of my favorite spin-up options on the slate. And then I think Mikal Bridges is probably a bit too cheap at $5,400. Jay Crowder in a similar situation, but I trust the production of Mikal Bridges just slightly more. Then we get to the last game of the slate, which is very, very difficult. Hopefully we can get news before the slate starts. Not sure if we're going to get that, but the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Portland Trailblazers, a 222.5 over under. The Trailblazers are currently 5.5 point favorites. The Lakers are going to be without Talon Horton-Tucker, Kendrick Nunn, Trevor Ariza, and LeBron James. Anthony Davis is currently questionable. Anthony Davis is questionable with a thumb injury that he sustained last game. He ended up playing through it, and he looked good. He was still dominant in that fourth quarter in that second half after sustaining that injury. I expect him to play in this game, but if he were to be ruled out, Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan would likely split all 48 center minutes, and they would become near must plays for me, as well as Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook. But as of right now, you're probably playing one of Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis. I know Westbrook kind of had a letdown game last time, but this matchup is so good against the Portland Trailblazers. You're going to want to have a couple pieces from here. If you want to play Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook again, I think that's definitely viable given it's just a 5-game slate, and the pay-up options really aren't all that great. So I prefer Anthony Davis if he's playing. I've preferred him all year. So with LeBron James out, I don't mind him. And then Rajon Rondo is down here at the minimum price, $3,000. He should continue to get the backup ball handling responsibilities behind Russell Westbrook because they don't have other ball handlers when LeBron James is out. So it's going to be Westbrook and then Rajon Rondo playing behind him. But we've seen in the past so far this year that Rondo and Westbrook will play next to each other. But that situation with the Lakers is pretty tricky given the status of Anthony Davis. And then the Portland Trailblazers are dealing with no injuries, really just considering one player, and that is Norman Powell. Now, I like Lillard a lot more on FanDuel, where he's a lot more affordable, but at least over here on Draftkings, $4,800 for Norman Powell. He's a pretty streaky player, but his shot is falling right now. It's going to continue to see 30-plus minutes. $4,800 at a weak small forward position seems like a pretty damn good deal. Now, if you guys are tailing me over here, I definitely prefer Jimmy Butler, Tyrese Maxey over fantasy points, 40 fantasy points and 24 fantasy points for Tyrese Maxey. If you guys want to get some early action in, I like the over on Nikola Jokic, 47.5 fantasy points. And then if we want to add one more, again, guys, you could sit around and wait. I think the best way to take advantage of price picks is just recognizing, like memorizing what's on the board, looking at what injury news we're waiting for, have some alerts on that alert you whenever news ends up dropping, and then coming over here and smashing the beneficiaries of those injuries. Because if Danny Green and or freaking Korkmaz are ruled out, Tyrese Maxey and Shake Milton become locks at over 24 fantasy points and over 23.5 fantasy points. They already took off I don't even think they had the Lakers guys on at all. The only guy that they have on here from the Lakers is Kent Bazemore. He is largely unaffected by LeBron and AD being ruled out. So I'm not really messing with that number regardless. But like most days, they've had Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, and with LeBron James always being questionable, you could just take the overs on them in hopes that he would sit, and then you can take advantage of that. So yeah, I like the Jimmy Butler, Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey, I think, is going to play high 30s minutes, maybe 40 minutes, regardless of the status of Danny Green and freaking Korkmaz, just because Matisse Thybulle is already ruled out. So I'm going to take the over on Clint Capella, 32 fantasy points, Jokic, 47.5. I'm going to add Milton already because I think Milton's going to play a lot moving forward anyways, regardless of those guys. And he is a very good permanent producer. So we got the over, Jimmy Butler, 40 fantasy points, Tyrese Maxey over 24 fantasy points, Clint Capella over 32 fantasy points, Nikola Jokic 47.5, and then Shake Milton over 23.5. If we hit all 5 of those, we can 10x our money. And again, guys, if you guys want to sign up and deposit using code Taylor, TAYLOR, you will receive a 100% match bonus up to $100 instantly in your account. And then you can tail my plays that I give away in these videos, the stream, Discord, Patreon, wherever it may be. If you guys want my official prize picks play that I am the most confident in, my favorite 2-pick of the day, make sure to subscribe to my Patreon. That is linked down below. But I appreciate you guys being here. See you guys later in the stream. Best of luck. See you guys at the top. And until next time, peace.